Hi everyone, this is Chazlyn from the Upper Skagit Library, and this is my entry for the Community Reading Project. And so I've pulled out one of our books called The Annotated Classic Fairy Tales, call number 398.2 TAT. And I thought I would read a small section of Hans Christian Andersen's The Little Mermaid. Um, because of copyright issues, I won't read the whole thing, but I'll read a couple of pages. So without further ado, let's begin. Far out at sea, the water's as blue as the petals of the prettiest cornflower and as clear as the purest glass. But it's very deep, deeper than any anchor can reach. Many church steeples would have to be piled up, one on top of the other, to reach from the bottom of the sea up to the surface. Down there live the sea people. Now you mustn't for a moment imagine that there's nothing but bare white sand down there. Oh no, the most wonderful trees and plants grow at the bottom of the sea. Their stalks and leaves bend so easily that they stir with the slightest movement of the water, as if they were alive. All the fish, large and small, glide between the branches, just as birds fly through the trees up here. Down in the deepest spot of all is the castle of the Sea King. Its walls are built of coral, and the long pointed windows are made of the clearest amber. The roof is formed of shells that open and close with the current. It's a pretty sight, for each shell has a dazzling pearl, any one of which would be a splendid ornament for a queen's crown. The Sea King had been a widower for some years, and his aged mother kept house for him. She was an intelligent woman, but proud when it came to her noble birth. That's why she wore 12 oysters on her tail, while everyone else of high rank had to settle for 6. Otherwise, she deserved great praise, for she was very devoted to her granddaughters, the little sea princesses. They were 6 pretty children, but the youngest was the loveliest of them all. Her skin was clear and delicate as a rose leaf. Her eyes were as blue as the deepest sea. But like all the others, she had no feet, and her body ended in a fishtail. All day long the sea princesses played in the great halls of the castle where flowers grew right out of the walls. The large amber windows were open, and the fish swam in just as swallows fly into our homes when we open the windows. The fish glided right up to the princesses, fed from their hands, and waited to be patted. Outside the castle there was a beautiful garden with trees of deep blue and fiery red. Their fruit glittered like gold, and their blossoms were like flames of fire, with leaves and stalks that never stayed still. The soil itself was the finest sand, but blue like a sulphur flame. A strange blue glow permeated everything in sight. Standing down there, you really wouldn't know that you were at the bottom of the sea, but might imagine that you were high up in the air with nothing but sky above you and below you. When there was a dead calm, you could catch a glimpse of the sun, which looked like a purple flower with light streaming from its calyx. Each of the little princesses had her own plot in the garden where she could dig and plant as she pleased. One arranged her flower bed in the shape of a whale, another thought it nicer to make hers look like the figure of a little mermaid. But the youngest made hers quite round, like the sun, and she wanted nothing but flowers that shone red like it. She was a curious child, quiet and thoughtful. While her sisters decorated their gardens with the wonderful things they obtained from sunken ships, she would have nothing but rose-red flowers that were like the sun high above, and a beautiful marble statue. The statue was of a handsome boy, chiseled from pure white stone, and it had come to the bottom of the sea after a shipwreck. Next to it the little princess had planted a rose-colored weeping willow, which grew splendidly and draped its fresh foliage over the shadow down to the blue sandy ocean bottom. Its shadow took on a violet tinge, and, like the branches, was never still. The roots and crown of the tree seemed always at play, trying to kiss each other. Nothing pleased the princess more than to hear about the world of humans above the sea. Her old grandmother had to tell her all she knew of the ships and towns, the people and animals. One thing especially amazed her with its beauty, and that was the flowers that had a fragrance. At the bottom of the sea they had none, and also that the trees in the forest were green, and that the fish flying in the trees could sing so sweetly that it was a pleasure to hear them. Her grandmother called the little birds fishes. Otherwise, the small sea princesses, never having seen a bird, would not have understood her. When you are 15, the grandmother told them, we will let you rise to the surface and sit on the rocks in the moonlight while the great ships sail past. You will see both forests and towns. The following year, one of her sisters was to have her 15th birthday, but the rest of them, well, they were each a year younger than the other, so the youngest of them had a whole 5 years to wait before she could rise to the surface from the depths and see how things are with us. But each promised to tell the others what she had seen and what she had found the most interesting on the first visit. Their grandmother never really told them enough. There were so many things they were longing to hear about. And that's as far as we'll go with this one. So, in case you're interested in finishing the tale, this is the annotated classic fairy tales, and that was Little Mermaid by Hans Christian Andersen. Hopefully, we will see your favorite stories for the community reading project. You can pick something from Project Gutenberg and read the entirety of it, or you can just take a small selection from a book just like this. And we'd love to see what your favorite story tales or your favorite fairy tales are. Your story tales. We're going with that now. Anyway, this is Chazlyn with the Upper Skagit Library. Thank you, and we hope to see you soon. Bye.